Hello everyone, this is Miss Ruiz and we're going to be drawing a portrait of ourselves. You just heard a story about a little frog who didn't want to be himself. He wanted to be a cat, he wanted to be a dog, he wanted to be a rabbit, he wanted to be anything but a frog. At the end of the story he finds out that he's pretty lucky to be a frog. So what we're going to do is we're going to draw ourselves, and I'm going to show you how to put in the eyes, the nose, the mouth, and some strategies that I use as an artist to make it feel more accurate and look more like me did. Let's go ahead and put in our chin. Now everyone's chin is a little bit different shape. Some of us have a pointy chin, some of us have a more round chin, and some have a more square chin. Mine is kind of in between. So what I'd like to do is draw in lightly this line. And the reason we draw lightly is so that we can erase if we need to. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to, as carefully as we can, we don't need to have a ruler, we're going to divide this in half from left to right with what we call a vertical, that means that it goes up and down, line of symmetry. And I always start with a landmark where I'm going to begin and where I'm going to end. And that helps me draw a line that's a little straighter. And then just want to double check this and make sure that there's an equal distance from the line to the right ear and the line to the left ear. This line is important because it helps us to get our eyes, our nose, and our mouth in the center, and the eyes centered across the middle of the head. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to draw a line that is going to go from here to here. And this is the midway point, or the halfway point, between the top of the head and the bottom. Not the bottom of the head, but the chin. So you might think, oh, if I put the eyes here, I'm going to have this giant head. But that's not really going to be the case, because as we add the details to the face, you'll see that this head, the forehead, appears to shrink. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to put in the eyes. So we want to make sure that we put a dot, just a small dot, on this line here, and about this distance from the center line, vertical line of symmetry. And then we're going to put another one here. Now these two dots are the landmarks for the inside corner of your eye. And then you're going to put another dot over here, right about there, and another one right about there. It's important that the space between these two dots, here and here, are about the same, so that your eyes end up being about the same. Because we want to make sure that they're about the same size, as close as we can get. I'm going to make this a little bigger so you all can see it better. That's better. Let me focus. And there we go. Okay, so we're going to draw both eyes at the same time. Instead of trying to draw the upper lid, the lower lid, the iris, and the pupil all at the same time, and then come over here and try to duplicate that and be accurate, it works better for our brain to do it one step at a time. We can be more accurate that way. So we're going to draw from this little point, this little landmark we made, an arch like this. It's going to go from this point to this point, and it forms like a half oval. So then we're going to take a look at that, and we're going to try to replicate that on the other side. We're going to copy it. And what I'm doing as I try to copy it is I'm looking more at this that I just drew than what I'm drawing over here, because I want to make sure that I'm paying very close attention to the eye shape here on the right, so that I can get these two as close as I can to the same. And then we're going to do the bottom. So the top lid typically has more space between the horizontal line and guideline and than the bottom one. So this line, this curve is not going to arch as far below as the top one does. See how there's more space in this half oval than there is in this one? This one's almost a sliver. So then we're going to do this on the other side. And there we are. We have two eyes. They're about the same size. It's okay if they're not exactly the same size, because when we start using the muscles in our faces to make facial expressions, the muscles, all the many muscles in our face start to change the shape of our eyes, the shape of our mouth, etc. So it's not a total tragedy if they're not exactly the same. And, you know, give yourself some grace. It takes practice to do this. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to put in the iris. The iris is the colored part of your eye, and it is circular. So if you need to go above the eyelid a little bit to make sure that it is circular all the way around, you can do that and just erase that later. So the top part of the circle of the iris disappears underneath the eyelid, and the bottom part rests right here on the lower lid. And then we're going to do the same thing on the other side, paying close attention to the amount of white space that was left in this corner and in this corner. So I'm going to go over here and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to make sure that the iris just rests, and to make sure that I have a full circle. For some of us, it's easier to draw a more circular circle if we do this and then erase that top part there and there later. So we have to find strategies as artists to help us be more accurate. Then we're going to put in the pupil. The pupil is the little dark spot, that little circle that's right in the center of the iris. And it goes about there. You want to make sure that they're both in the center and they're both about the same size. And then we can erase this part because we no longer need it. Erase that part. No longer need it. And there's usually, when we open our eyes, our eyelid folds and tucks into itself. It just folds over itself, and there's a little line like this. It connects in the corner, the inner corner, but not the outer corner. And some of us have more space here, and some of us have less space here. It just depends on what we look like. Then we're ready for eyebrows. Our eyes and our eyebrows help us to be very expressive. Our eyebrows look very different when we're happy, or when we're angry, or when we're sad. So we're going to put in that. Trust me, that's not the eyebrow. That's another guideline that we're going to erase. We're going to put in a few guidelines here to help us get our eyebrows the same. Most of us, our eyebrows the inside of our eyebrow starts around somewhere near the inner corner of our eye, like this. And for most of us, it extends to just past the outer corner of our eye. So that's about where your eyebrow is going to fit in. We're going to erase all those lines. So please make sure that you're drawing lightly. And then what I do is I start with that first angle where the eyebrow kind of curves up like this. And I'm not filling it in yet. And then some of us, it's very flat. Some of us, it's curved. So I'm going to do that to there, and then I'm going to follow along and do the same thing on the other side. Now remember, I'm just demonstrating what the average person looks like. You're going to make changes to yours after we do this demonstration. You're going to make changes to yours to make it look uniquely like you. You're the only you have, and you're very lucky to be you. So once I have both of these eyebrows in, and they feel symmetrical. This one seems like it curves down just a little bit more than this one. So I'm going to fix that. Thank goodness for erasers. The magical tool. Bring that little arch down a little bit more here. There, that feels better. And we get to put in the nose. Our nose, the bottom of our nose, lands right in the middle between the eye line and the bottom of our chin. So we're going to put in another guideline that goes halfway across. It's going to go, you don't even have to take it all the way across. Just about there is fine. What we do is we put in the flares of our nostrils. And the flares of our nostrils are the rounded parts on the side that are there so that we have holes in our nose so we can breathe. But these look like parentheses. So we're going to put in a pair of parentheses that are equal distance from the line in the middle. And then we're going to make something that I call a sleeping comma. So the nostril looks like that, but it's sideways. So we're going to make it sleep. We're going to do this. And it's going to curve all the way down here. And we're going to do another one on the other side. So both of these nostrils are sleeping on their face. And then next, we're going to draw another guideline that is going to be halfway between the bottom of the nose and the bottom of the chin. And this one is going to extend to about here. Now, this line, mine's a little high. I'm going to put it down. I'm going to bring it down just a little bit. This one is going to go about here, and it's going to come out a little bit longer. So this is the bottom of our bottom lip. And when our lips are touching, they're closed, right? There's another line right here. So this space right here is telling us about how tall your bottom lip is. For some of us, our bottom lip is very full, and so there's more space here. For some of us, it's thinner, and so there's less space here. It just depends. So what we're going to do here is we're going to draw in a long, flat oval. This will end up being part of the bottom lip. And then, for the top lip, we're going to draw a heart that goes down past that oval like this and like this. So that's where the two hills, the valley and the hills are, or the peaks and the valleys. And so what we do here is to extend this just a little bit more. And for most of us, our lips, the line that defines where the two lips are closed, if we dropped a line here, imaginary line from the middle of the pupil down like this, that's how wide your lips are. So from here, you just take this and you connect it like this. And some of us, it swoops down like that, and some of us, it arches up. It just depends on what we look like. And then we're going to take this and we're going to follow that around. And we're going to widen the bottom lip like so. And then if you want to look less sad than my sample here, you're going to curve this line up. Because mine looks kind of sad. I'm going to curve that up so it looks like it's smiling a little bit more. And then we erase this guideline, we erase that one, we erase all the extras that are in here. So don't need that anymore. Don't need that anymore. Definitely don't want a line down the middle of my face. Don't need this anymore. This. Let's talk about hair. When we're drawing our hair, we first have to create the shape of the hair. Every hairstyle has a shape as it falls and flows over our head and shoulders. So I like to start out with short hair. If you have short hair, you look at where does the hairline start and how far in front of the ears does it go. And you do the same on both sides. For most of us, there's a very short amount of space between the end of our eyebrow here on the outside and where the hairline starts. And our hair, unless it's being cut off on purpose for a particular kind of hairstyle, it typically comes down in front of our ears like this. Then what we do is we look at what does this line look like for you. You know, it might do this. And now all of a sudden your forehead's not so big, right? It might look a little straighter. Or maybe yours comes up quite a bit higher and does something like this. We call this a widow's peak. And a lot of people have this. Then what you do is you look at where does the hair, how much of the hair sticks out above the scalp. So for short hair, it would be about here, depending on, how long your hair is and whether it's, got some texture, if it's curly, if it's wavy, etc. So from here, it's easy to change this. We could go from this to something like this to a longer hairstyle, like so. Notice I haven't put any hair strands in yet. I can erase this and I can go to a longer hairstyle and have some of the hair fall down the back and some of the hair come in front and do this. If you have curly or wavy, something with more texture and more volume, you can define it kind of like this. I'll do a medium length hairstyle like this. Make it the same on both sides. You could also have a wavy hairstyle and make it shorter, like this. It just depends on what your hair looks like. If yours is long and curly, we go behind, or wavy, we go behind and maybe in front of your shoulders, kind of like that. Then you go in and you put in your the lines that define the way that your hair is textured. Is it straight? Is it wavy? Is it kinky? Is it curly? So this would be wavy, and I'm going to add a few strokes to show waviness on this side. Notice I'm leaving a lot of white space. The less you add, the less lines you add when you're drawing hair, the better. Because if you're going to go back into this and you're going to use markers or crayons or colored pencil, you don't want all your pencil lines to show. So I'm going to change this to a longer hairstyle on this side, longer and straighter on this side. Something like that. And then I'm going to put in the lines that show the way that the hair flows down the head and over the shoulders and down the back, like this. This is where the part would be. And the part would be in the same place, whether you have wavy, curly, whatever. You could add bangs. Maybe you want to take out the widow's peak and you want to have bangs because you have bangs. You would put in this line right here to define the bangs, and then the bangs would go like this. Notice these lines are all curving because they are curving over your skull. Your skull is curved. Like so. I could erase this all and I could do a boy's haircut or a very short pixie cut for a woman. And it could look like, let's see, take that out and I'm going to make this do this. Notice again, I'm going outside of the skull. So there's a shorter hairstyle. There's so many different ways you can do this. I'm going to encourage you, when you get your face done and make any corrections that you want, and you get your hair the way you want it, go ahead and put on a shirt, any style shirt that you want. I'm just going to do a regular old t-shirt here for me. And then on your shirt, you can write some kind of positive statement, like, it's good to be me. And then decorate the shirt any way you want. You can write, I love myself, or me is all I want to be. Whatever you want to add here as a positive statement about yourself and the way you feel about yourself. Thank you for creating with me today. Have fun. Are you kidding me? Where's the sound?